local recording is up as well. Cool. So, hello everyone. Today we are going to get started and take a look at this particular matchup, which it was interesting to say the least. So, Toronto Esports has been a team that has had some issues coming into this. They did a couple of roster switch ups here and there. They are a team that has really had issues with the fact that like Tracer Genji dive isn't as common anymore. Meanwhile, Fusion University on the other side have been one of the strongest. They were the winners of last season, and this season they look even more well rehearsed and practiced. And so when they went down 0-2 at the first half, needless to say, I was a bit surprised, as I think was most people watching. So what I'm going to do is break down Eichenwald and then Volskaya, which is the second and third maps. Important thing to note is that Toronto take the first two, and then after that, when it matters most, Fusion University come and win the next three to reverse sweep them. And specifically, there were certain changes made here at the half that led to such a drastic difference in the way that these matches were played. So, starting out on Eichenwald. One of the issues that a lot of people noticed in the first matchup, or the first couple of maps, is the play of Hammond or Wrecking Ball in at the main take spot for Beast Halo, and how he was very often caught out on dives and instantly focused down and destroyed. That playstyle was drastically changed at the half when he, Zachary, and their coach Paijan, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, all made apparently some sort of last minute call. Not last minute, but like a halftime call to completely change certain aspects of their playstyle, and I'm going to try to see if I can find out what those aspects of play are. I will back up a little bit here so we can look at comps, because this is the first review I've done on any sort of new meta. This is like the first, I think it was the absolute first game played on the new meta. First like official professional game here. So breaking it down, Alarm, who was like a Zen god, is now playing the Ana, which he is also pretty good at. But more notably, Elk has been the primary Ana player because you previously would run nothing but Zen in at that flex support spot. You've got standard tanks here, standard dive tanks, and you've got Who Are You on the Genji, and then Zachary on the Sombra. This is the new Sombra that has infinite invisibility and can stay, or can have her translocator up for an infinite amount of time, but there are certain other pieces that make her, I don't know, I feel like overall this was a buff to her. On the opposite side, you've got essentially a similar comp. You've got your dive tanks. You've got Shu on the Moira, which is kind of a interesting pick here, but depending on how they play it, this makes tons of sense. Cruz on the Lucio, because this is the attack team, so they're going to try to straight rush to point or rush to dive on a particular person out of position. You got Dalton on the Tracer, which was his like most popular hero. He was one of the best Tracers in Contenders Season 1. And then you've got Nero, his counterpart, always playing the Sombra again for Toronto. So as you notice what Krakenlaken just did, this is what the one thing that every diva is doing now, is every single diva is now shooting in all directions all the time. Because you've got infinitely invisible Sombras, and you need to, like, Diva is probably the best hero for picking out Sombras because she doesn't have any reload. So she literally can just spin around in circles and shoot, and if the Sombra gets hit, she's uncloaked, discloaked, and found out. So Fusion are playing super duper spread, but in a kind of nice happy L shape here. You've got, who is that? I can't even see who that, what outline that is. But you've got the point here. You got some people playing this direction, some people playing this direction, but they're all in line of sight You can see down both alleys, and more importantly, you have your Winston here who can easily leap back to point. So everyone is playing in a relatively safe-ish position. Who are you already has 25% on his Dragon Blade. That is the one thing that this particular team comp for Fusion University is going to do well. You are going to build Dragon Blades, and you're going to have nano boosts on those blades, and you are going to win fights with those blades, especially if you're Who Are You, who is like probably one of the best Genjis, if not the best Genji player in the world. So you've got Nero who's pushing in onto point, looking for some sort of flank. Meanwhile, Zachary on the Sombra is kind of keeping this high ground up. Kraken Lakin's going to get shredded down low, and so they're going to retreat. You see a big Bionade come in. Anna, of course, with the Bionade is one of the strong counters to Moira, who puts out a ton of healing, but cannot heal through Bionade, because that's what Bionade does. It negates healing coming in. They're going to do a comp switch here, switching to basically goats, except instead of a Zarya, you're running a Sombra. That is one thing that is a lot more common, mainly because I believe the Sombra is stronger than the Zarya in that if you hack a Zarya, she's kind of really useless and easy to dive, and you have to... Brigitte is essential in the goats comp in her ability to put out the damage and do the stuns. Diva is just infinitely useful for spotting out the Sombra and helping output damage and dive and stuff like that. And then Ryan, of course, is essential as well. So you can't really sub out any of these, but you need to have the Sombra because he's just that important at the moment. Now they're going to push up. We got the Lucio split on his own with, I think, the Sombra in that direction. Oh, no, he's back here. Okay, with the team. So they're just going to walk up Main Street. Immediately dive on Beast Halo. He dies. You saw Alarm try to throw out a Bionade to help, but you literally just have too many people pushing point. Axiom gets 2. This push is over. Basically what Fusion didn't do here is that I don't think Beast Halo was out of position at all. He was a little bit far up, moved right into his team normally, but then they just had so much pressure on him, and they didn't really have any other abilities to pressure the divers, or the divers, finger quotes. And it's all just clean up at this point now. So you're going to have Coalescence, which is usually the first ult you get in Goats comp. You've got Rally as well. And you're probably going to have EMP. You know, on the opposite side, you've for sure got an EMP from Zachary, who was outputting damage pretty early on. Getting close to a Blade, getting close to a Nano. And then here, Axiom is pushing super far up because they have the speed boost from the Lucio to where if they need to run all the way back, they can without a problem. Axiom gets hacked, immediately shredded. So, punishing the aggression, good on Fusion University here. Same with the Diva. And in the meantime, Payload hasn't been pushed at all. I mean, it's been pushed a little bit, but it was stuck at the gate. So now you've got the Nano Blade ready to go. Zachary's going for the Mei. We will see later in a different game, if you haven't seen him yet, Tailspin on the Mei as well. Mei is a pretty good counter to this comp, good at splitting people off, good at freezing people, and she's got no damage fall off on her right clicks now, I believe. And you will see if you have the opportunity to, I think it was Mangachu who got probably the dirtiest right click I've ever seen in Overwatch on Lijiang Tower Control Center. He right clicks a Moira like right after she teleports and just decimates her. So that's a cool thing to see. So you're seeing Fusion University hold the high ground. Toronto Esports have to take the low ground. The Goats comp is not very good at contesting high ground. You've got the Diva who could try to do a little bit of like pushing people off. But other than that, you pretty much need to stay on point and wait till someone drops off and then punish them. Elk is kind of falling down a little bit, but he crawls back up. Nano Blade, it is out. Here's the important thing that you now see Genji's having to do. You're trying to bait out the shield bash by playing high above the Brigida out of her range, and then once she uses the shield bash, then you have free reign to go attack, because if you get shield bashed, even with the, I mean, you're probably not going to completely die if you have the nano boost on you, but your blade is going to be rendered essentially useless. So he gets hacked, and his whole blade gets basically nullified because he gets hacked and Fusion are able to back up effectively. Or not Fusion, Toronto is able to back up effectively. And then Shu with the Coalescence does a lot of damage to him, a lot of damage to Zachary. Hack plus Coalescence is just really solid because you don't have movement abilities to get out of the way, and it goes through shields. Now Who Are You is going to switch to the Doomfist because Doomfist is another fantastic counter to the Goats comp. Because Doomfist is really good at like smashing tanks who play close together, and that's exactly what the Goats comp is doing here. Again, we're just seeing a lot of aggression here, which is kind of how you have to play the Goats comp. You have to play really close up and aggressive. Not get a whole lot of free space. Again, Who Are You? Stunned like immediately after, so they are really recognizing who Toronto is, recognizing who the possibilities for wiping their team is. And it's probably always Who Are You, just with the ability of like his style of play. He can take teams, uncoordinated teams down pretty much on his own. He gets immediately focused down. Good target calling from Toronto. They're going to sound barrier even though they already have a pretty good fight. I don't think it was super necessary because they already had one, and they basically had the set kill onto Beast Halo as well, and now Bernard's demeched. It's essentially cleanup. Unfortunately, they weren't able to get... Okay, now he gets booped off, so he's dead. This is a push. They basically have just been picking off Who Are You whenever they possibly could. Focusing him really, really hard. And just having a ton of aggression.
Now, Fusion University, they are so behind as Toronto Esports moving into this third phase of Eichenwald.
So now you've got Fusion going Space Dragon comp, I guess. This is a funky comp because you've got straight ground and pound tanks. You've got Ryan Zarya. You've got the Dragon, which can be blended with the Graviton and get good results. Graviton into Blizzard is also pretty effective. But you don't really have nano boost targets except for the Rhine and maybe the Zarya. I don't know if people still do that very often. I guess maybe to build Grav. Pretty effective. Good Maywall there. Good line of sighting to try to get out of the way. No one gets picked off. The bomb doesn't land. Like I've seen lots of games where you have a bomb land about here, and you have people like waiting around here. Well, you can clearly see that way, and there's no real route for you to run away without getting killed by the bomb either. So what you have now as well, looking at just kind of like a big picture, you've got all of Fusion University here. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Meanwhile, for Toronto, you've got here, here, and here. You've got like a lot of coverage. We're missing Shu? Where's Shu? You've got Dalton, you've got Nero, you've got Axiom, Cruz, Crack, and Lock. Okay, so you basically have a pretty wide spread here of damage coming from different directions. You've got the Sombra up here who's just outputting free damage onto people below. Coalescence comes out again. You've got the Nano onto Beast Halo, and what you have is Axiom kind of out on his own. He's able to charge out, though, and be just fine, but very clever Maywall comes to split the team in half. Beast Halo is able to get the kill on Axiom because the Maywall stops him. So, again, if you can separate off your Reinhardt with a May, you, with a moderately coordinated team, can absolutely destroy. So, effective use from Zachary. He's got the Blizzard up as well, which he can use to stall out even more once they have their next engagement. I believe that's what he does here. They're going to wait until they kind of push up right around this corner, right where the Fusion University team is at the moment. But you have Nero behind with an EMP. You've got a Fusion University who's playing very clumped up. I can only imagine how this is going to go. So look, like, okay. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All within, I don't know, 10, 15 meters of a Sombra. I don't know exactly. I think it's like 20 meters total for a radius. So they're all hacked. Literally every single person here is hacked. This is such a done fight just to start with. Who are you gets a pick on a Dalton, which is pretty good. There's no res that's available. Zachary's gonna live just long enough to throw out the Blizzard, which is pretty good. You've got Bernard who's able to run back far enough and bait out. So as you lost a couple of people back here in this front little corner, you had Bernard who's in the background and Elk who also retreated back and is now here. So Bernard was able to give him a shield and keep him alive to contest the point a little bit. So Zachary was playing very smart there, at least just survived long enough to be able to throw the Blizzard out and then recognize the fact that his team had enough people alive to be able to handle it. And Who Are You was just hitting pretty good shots here anyways. Now you've got Grav Dragon ready, you've got Earth Shatter ready, you've got Nano Boost ready, again. Meanwhile, they used Rally recently, they used Earth Shatter recently to no avail. I remember seeing that nothing happened with. And then you've got EMP ready as well. Not ready. It was used last fight, excuse me. Still early morning. So again, you're waiting for a D.Va DMech probably. You're going to focus the D.Va. And let me see if this is anything important. Yeah. We're good. And we're going to see that actually probably hit around the corner. Or no. Ooh. Oh, okay. This was really cool. I liked seeing this. So I'll break this down here. You've got Zarya with the Graviton and you've got a Mei. What do you do when you have a D.Va on the opposite side? You have to hit a wall with it, because if you don't hit a wall and line of sight the D.Va defense matrix, then it's going to get eaten. So what they do is throw up a wall. What happens? So you're going to have Bernard in here with the Graviton. You're going to have a wall here that blocks the line of sight from the D.Va if the D.Va is back here. Instead, the D.Va's up here. So that doesn't matter anymore. You're going to throw the Graviton against the wall and suck up a bunch of these people. But most importantly, what do we see? We see the D.Va above and then drop. Right? So when the Graviton comes out, the wall is right here. The wall was up right about here. D.Va's here. Defense matrix in pink is covering, well, the wall. As he throws the Graviton into the defense matrix, thinking it's the wall, but it's not. So smart play from Krakenlaken. Graviton is completely consumed, and then they're going to throw Nano Boost on him to try to just build it back up, I guess, pretty quickly. Earth Shatter comes out. Dragon comes out. Earth Shatter gets at least one, maybe two. One fight. Even, like, so, this is weird, right? Toronto Esports are coming into these fights with a very clear, like, advantage. The last time they had a really big EMP and couldn't follow it up because the members escaped well. Good on Fusion University for doing that. Second time, you ate a Graviton, but still were able to, from a Earth Shatter and a Dragon, still able to win the team fight, even after eating a Graviton, which was basically your, like, ace in the hole. As ZP says, even with the Graviton being eaten, they still are able to win the fight. So, despite the fact that Fusion have lost these first two fights, they still are playing incredibly, not incredibly, they're still playing well. I'm not going to say they're playing incredibly because they don't do that until after the half here.
At 2 minutes and 25 seconds, Fusion University, this is where they are weakest though. They are without ultimates, while Toronto Esports have almost 4 on deck. Here we go. Self-destruct can lead the
Great Diva Bomb comes out. You've got a wall, you've got a shield. That's a real Hail Mary there. There's no real reason. Okay. Big Shatter. What's happening here? What's Halo doing here? There's no real reason that you should get kills off of that.
Fusion University, this is where they are weakest though. They are without
What happens here? How does Beast Halo allow everyone to get completely shattered? Oh, you see that right there? That's his little stun animation. Oh yeah, he was big stunned there. So they speeded Dalton into Beast Halo. Beast Halo shield bash stunned him. Axiom throw the shadow down. So I don't know if there's anything Beast Halo could have done there. Maybe they could have played around it better. Maybe they could have thrown the shield on him. Whatever. But that was said and done. Zachary throws out the Blizzard though. Again. Same thing. 3 fights in a row. You've got Toronto Esports who have a huge setup, are lacking the follow-up, and allowing Fusion to still play into this. But this time, it seems like Nero gets a couple of more picks. They're playing a little bit better around it. So they're going to kind of do a soft retreat from both teams, kind of wait till you get regrouped, but still not completely go back to spawn. We've got EMP ready as well. No other ults to really finish it except for a rally about now. Opposite side, you've got a Nano Dragon and a Grav in a second. So you lose Bernard, you lose Beast Halo, you lose Alarm. Those are 2 of your ults gone immediately right there that you can't use. Elk is... What point does Elk drop the sound barrier, and who does he hit with that? So Elk doesn't drop sound barrier until... Okay, until there's already 3 dead, so I assume it's just as he gets unhacked. Yeah, and then no one else can get onto point at the time. Okay. So that was a pretty good EMP set up by 3 good kills, and basically the only way that they could have survived that if Elk was out of line of sight, but that fight was kind of a little wonky, so it was hard to tell. On the opposite side here, we see Beast Halo starting out on the Hammond / Wrecking Ball. I still don't know what I'm going to call the hamster. You've got same comp. Toronto has literally not changed a thing, but this is weird, man. This I don't get. We saw this, I think, on Twitter or something. You've got Nero here. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4 here. The only person you're missing is Dalton on the Tracer, who is kind of roaming in this little back house. On the opposite side, you have a Genji, Hammond, Anna, Lucio. No, Anna, Sombra, Diva here, and you've got the Zen here by himself. I assume he's going to do shots down Main Street to try to hit people who were there, but all of Toronto is playing in this little room here, and so what happens? I assume a hack comes in. We got 4 members diving, gone. I think that was like a second and a half. Your Zen's dead. To quote Pulp Fiction? Sure, I don't know. Big Bionade, though. How they don't clean that up onto Axiom, I'm not super duper certain. But this fight is basically over. You're gonna reset. There's nothing you can do. You lost your Zen first, and you had the whole team dive on you. Just reset. You have the spawn advantage anyways. Unfortunately, you weren't able to get any picks if you're Fusion. Immediate switches. Goat Scop. Just immediate. You had him play. You had Beast Halo play quite a bit of Hammond in the first map, not as much in the second. Now they're just playing Goats Comp a lot. Playing grouped up. They're running straight to point here, which I think is pretty smart. If you have a team that's playing aggressive, make them push onto you, because now you're playing defenders. It's a little bit easier to defend this point than it is to attack it, I dare say. So now you have Toronto playing the attackers, while Fusion University have just sat on the point. Dalton is going to get a pulse bomb. He builds them pretty quickly. He's good at Tracer. But We'll see what happens to it. I think he throws it on the Rhine. And Rhine gets a bubble. Rhine is fine. Arnold Zachary for saving his bubble cooldowns. Coalescence is going to come out, so is Hack. Now they're dead because they're all playing grouped up as the Goats comp, and yeah, there's just not much you can do if you get hacked in the Goats comp. All your shields are down. As long as you focus your damage well enough, the team dies. Oh, it's a little too far forward here. Same thing. Goats comp again. You've got Tracer and you've got Sombra all kind of playing flanky plays here, and you've got Toronto who are really playing aggressive here. They are trying to dive on Fusion as quick as possible. Coalescence comes out from Fusion, and Axiom is Primal Raging, gets shattered after being stunned, and he dies. Again, I think that's another Zachary save there. So Zachary's pretty good at this Zarya at the moment, saving at least 2 separate teammates from pulse bombs. And a little bit of misplay there. I think that there's almost no way that a Tracer can survive against a Brigitte if you do the combo right. But I'm not super familiar with it because I didn't see much of it lately. I haven't seen much of it at all. Because when Brigitte came in, and then after the first Tracer was stunned, no one else played Tracer after that. So now here's cleanup. Now they won the fight. I think they're going to do the exact same thing. Bernard's pushing up, putting on aggression. You want to try to force them back in the spawn here because this is one of the easier points to push people back into. You're forcing them out of like 3 doorways, basically 2 if you're playing a low mobility comp. Dalton, after realizing that he's thrown out 2 pulse bombs, gotten 0 kills with them, and has just been continually hit by Brigitte, is now going to go Brigitte himself. Smart play. Welcome to the Brigitte meta, Dalton. Again, Bernard gets hacked here, and he's a decent amount of support around him, but I'm pretty sure he dies regardless. So that's the one problem with pushing up this far, is if you get hacked, you are in the defender's like realm. You have more of them around you than you have teammates around you as an attacker, so you're going to die if you get hacked. So what's basically happening a lot here is you have Nero doing quite a bit of hacks and quite a bit of EMPs. I'm pretty sure the main difference that Fusion are going to make after this half is that they are going to try to basically give Sombra a heck of a lot less space than they are previously. Graviton comes out from Zachary. There's an okay amount of follow-up, but not a ton. I mean, it kind of comes in later, so decent usage here. They get the picks, they move on. Forward a little bit more here. Oh, I'm a sneeze. Excuse me. I'm trying to kind of blast through this first map kind of quickly because it's the second map that things get really kind of interesting on. So here again, Elk gets hacked. Nero's going to push on to him. I think he's fine because he skates away quick enough. Oh, he just skates around the corner. Then he gets hacked again. And then Fusion are kind of in a weirder spot, so they can't help as much. ECL gets, unfortunately, Axiom gets unfortunately knocked into the pit, I think, because he was jumping, and then the Rhine swung, and then the momentum carried across, pushing him off. That shatter was weird, man. I don't know what that was doing. I don't know what... Maybe hit the Sombra? Maybe? I don't know what that was. That was a weird shatter. I think he saw the Zen and just kind of... I don't know, like, you can't shatter Transcendent, Transing Zen. Don't know what that was at all. You've got a couple ults coming online here. You got 3 ready to go. You just used Rally, so you've got a good amount of armor on everyone, except for your supports, really. Hack comes out again, or big EMP, right? But smart on Elk for playing. Where was he playing here?
Who are you to change his trajectory? Because
He's on payload. He's playing behind payload.
onto the bridge. So that was a little weird. Now Fusion
Yeah, look at this. Okay. So this is good ult tracking here. What do you have is you have a very enticing, look at how enticing that target is, right? If you are a Sombra, you see 4 or 5 people stacked on a cart. You're like, oh man, I'm about to get the fattest EMP I've ever seen in my life. Meanwhile, where's Elk? Elk is like way back. Look, okay, you can kind of see him a little bit here. Okay, so I'll try to illustrate this. Elk is here. Boop. Everyone else way up here. So Nero. Oh, yeah, even more perfect, right? So now where's Elk? Literally behind this, I forget what there's a crenellation, I think is what they're called. He's behind the crenellation, and literally we've got 4 other members of his team here. So what's gonna happen is Nero's gonna EMP out immediately. Elk is gonna come around the corner, and sound barrier. Perfect. That is such a smart play from Elk, realizing first from tracking ults well, and realizing line of sight, and from Fusion University to play around that to kind of bait out the EMP almost. But I think that just the picks come out even still with the sound barrier. Who doesn't get caught by it, I think? Oh. Bernard gets knocked out even before the sound barrier comes out, and he's out of line of sight. So Bernard's going to die first, I'm pretty sure. No, who are you guys first? And then so does Alarm, who are back here as well. And then Bernard dies as well. So even with the sound barrier, it still doesn't really work out. This is a bit of a... maybe if he switches after, that makes sense. He still gets 2, which is good, but he's going to die from it. So one fight. I think Zachary switches here. Because that grab definitely was a... We already lost 3. I'm going to throw out grab to see if we can get something, and then I'm going to swap. But I don't think he swapped, so maybe that was not the best use of the grab. Again, Beastale gets stunned again. He's going to shatter, but no one's really in front of him. He's got a Winston behind him who's already killed Who Are You. And you've got just Axiom, who's got an infinite amount of space at the moment. Pretty good stuns in from Dalton. Nero's now on the Junkrat. And now you're switching to this comp. I feel like this is a little too late, because after the last fight, after the one that Zachary used grab, maybe you should have switched then, because you're not going to have Blade yet in this 40 seconds. You're not going to have Valkyrie in the 40 seconds. You're not going to have Transcendence in the 40 seconds. You're not going to have any of these ults. So you have 5 people, or yeah, 5 of the 6 people on your team switching heroes 40 seconds in. And now you have Toronto playing no line of sight here. You're going to have a Diva come out to try to contest a little bit, but they recognize that there's a Widow out. And what do you do when there's a Widow out? You don't give her anything to shoot at. Got Axiom, who's going to dive on in the back line. And he has Primal Rage, too, if he gets... so he can dive incredibly aggressively. Because, A, they're not playing a Brigida, so they can't stun and destroy him quicker than he can hit his ult. So he can dive super aggressively on anyone he wants and not get punished for it. And he catches Elk out, I think... But as I'm getting distracted on watching Axiom attack Elk, what's going to happen is everyone else, so you've got the whole team scattered. You've got the Winston who is clearing space, what all main takes are supposed to do. So what he's doing is he's splitting off now 2 members at least, right? So he's blocking with his body, Alarm and Elk, both supports. Forcing Alarm to kind of play in that back little room, forcing Elk to fly around all willy-nilly, trying not to die. Meanwhile, Shu and Dalton take out Bernard. Kraken Lock-in takes that Beast Halo. So you've got both tanks on point, now dead. You got two supports who were both playing kind of flustered. Knocked around. You've got Diva Bomb coming out. Two are going to die. And that's it. So a late swap, just not amazing there. So now we will take a look at Volskaya, which is a little bit different than the first one. So, what do we see here? We see Elk playing the Brigitte. You see Zachary playing the Sombra. You see Who Are You on the Genji. You have a different playstyle here. You're not running tanks. You're not running goats anymore. Goats is not the comp you want. You get hacked. You get destroyed. Alarm is playing the Ana, who's got pretty good self-sustain. She's got the Sleep Dart. She's got the Bionade. She's got the shots that she can use to take out the flankers in Nero Dalton. I don't think Kraken Lock can play the Genji here. Yeah, he switches. So the reason you don't run Zen nowadays, the reason you don't run Zen at all nowadays is because Zen has probably the worst self-sustain, especially after getting hacked. He is not very good at keeping himself alive. Ana is pretty good. Brigitte is really, really good at it. So you stop running Zen because Zen is just not the play. You're going to get hacked. You're going to get destroyed. And this is on defense, mind you, as well. I didn't even take note of that. And meanwhile, on attack, you've got literally the same comp they've been playing, except the only time they switch Dalton off to something else is when he is getting countered on the Tracer, because Tracer is definitely his comfort pick here. So normally we see Volskaya being centered around Hanzo and Hanzo controlling this middle house, but instead you're not dealing with that anymore. So you've got, I believe this is Brigitte. Yeah, I think you've got Elk on the Brigitte up here. You've got Alarm here, Zachary on point. Your tank is kind of roaming. I don't know where Genji is either. Can't see him. Oh yeah, he's playing up top box as well. You've got tanks and Genji controlling the house in the middle, trying to just put damage out and bully off the the attackers. Here you've got Elk on I'm going to kill the flankers duty. And as well, you have really strong counter dive coming out as well. As soon as the call out came that Elk had a diver or a flanker on him, you've got Beast Halo. It's like it's methodical now, right? So last time they were giving a lot of space to these flankers. You were getting hacked. You were getting, obviously Tracer wasn't doing as much, but now you're playing around Nero as more as well. So literally, you can see Bernard coming in, and you can see Beast Halo both jumping in at the same time. And Nero has to get out. There's no way he can stay there. He's going to completely die if he stays there for a second longer. So you're playing counter dive. You're punishing the defenders as much as possible. Or the divers as much as possible, excuse me. Now you've got a weird fight where Kraken Lock-in is down here on his own with Zachary and Who Are You shooting him. You've got Dalton and Cruz with Axiom and I think Shu in here. Meanwhile, Elk, where's Alarm? I don't know where Alarm. Maybe he dropped down. So you're probably going to have this fight win here. You're probably going to have these three over here able to sustain themselves long enough anyways. Where did Alarm go? Couldn't even see him. Oh, is he up in the back right here? Maybe. So you lose Kraken Lock-in because he's just completely on his own. Yeah, Alarm is playing around there as well. So they're just controlling the high ground with the... So you're pretty much just protecting the auto with the Brigitte. You're not playing the low ground with the Brigitte. You're playing basically on anti-flanker duty, which is pretty cool to see. You've already burned off, I think, 2 minutes. I don't even know how much time you start with, man. At least 1 minute. Yeah, I think it's 4. You've got the dive coming out. You've got Axiom diving back onto the double supports, but now the supports are like literally okay. Again, you've got Axiom who uses his cooldown, his movement cooldown, his leap to jump onto the high ground. You've got Elk and Alarm playing around the back corner. What do you have immediately as soon as he jumps in? You've got Beast Halo. That is the worst color I could have used. Got Beast Halo. That's an eraser. Beast Halo. Third time charm. And Bernard driving in on top of him right after he gets up there. He gets shredded and eliminated immediately. Beast Halo's going to drop a little bit low, but he gets healed by Alarm. Meanwhile, Blade comes out. I don't think he even gets nanoed. I don't think they need nano. He gets 2. And the fight's already won. So again, just as soon as any sort of dive comes on, they're punishing it with counter dive, protecting the Ana well, utilizing basically everyone else playing around, supporting your team, and punishing aggression. And what do? They keep running the same thing into it now, except, not now, except, okay, so you've got Axiom, who is now switched to the Reinhardt, and you've got Dalton on the Brigida now. Less divey, less ability to get counter dove. You've got both tanks playing well around the line of sight of Ana. They know where the Ana is at all times and can get supported by her well. Big bio nade. Dalton gets dropped low. He dies. Krakenlaken gets dropped low. Doesn't die yet. No, now he gets demeched. So they're just playing smarter. A good Bionade came in, and then they recognized that that was a good Bionade, dove on him, took out some people. Didn't push into the room, mind you. The opportunity here... I think I went too far back. Yeah, so right here, right? You see him kind of retreat back into this little back room. You don't push into that too far. You don't overextend. Beast Halo plays nice and smart here. Realize that they have won the fight as well as they needed to, and now Toronto's on the retreat.
Yeah, there's going to be a while before really this composition can get going. Axiom along with Dalton haven't really been able to get into the fray. Axiom wasn't able to build up 40% towards that Earth Shatter, but again, it's a Reinhardt playing up against the dive composition, a highly mobile composition. It's going to be so difficult for him to pin anyone down.
So again, now where's Alarm playing? Alarm is up there, and of course, who's next to him at all times? Elk. You've also got both tanks who are kind of in good enough line of sight. I think Alarm's pushing back. I think Alarm just popped up just for the moment to poke on him. Okay. Spectating problems here a little bit, so we couldn't see that the EMP came out of Zachary. He gets a big EMP, and immediately after the sound barrier comes out. So Zach is going to fall. You've got tanks diving on Who Are You? But he's going to rope it open around, playing on the rest of the team. Now, what do you have here? Ooh, not a blade. He did the dash up like he was going to blade. Now he blades. That was weird. Oh, he got stunned. Never mind. I was going to say, why did Axiom just stand there like a doofus and get destroyed? So he was swinging. He was going to back up at the moment. He was trying to kill Bernard before he got back in his mech here. So we got two separate things happening. We'll focus on the Elk Bernard Axiom issue first. So you've got Axiom here is trying to swing with his hammer back and forth, trying to kill Bernard. Doesn't yet. And now he's literally right on top of the Diva Bomb. What he would do is back up a little bit, turn around, or stay facing the same direction. Back up a little bit, throw up a shield, block it out. Elk pushes up out of his little happy alarm protection pocket, pushes up, stuns him. Now he gets blown up. Good coordination there. Who Are You, in the meantime, gets one with the blade. You're now down both flanker DPS, but you have still both your tanks, both your supports alive. Most importantly, you have your Ana alive, who is going to output so much healing into the tanks that you just don't have any issues with that at all. Again, Elk is going to be pushing into Brigitte here. Where's Alarm this time? Oh, he's in this little room. Okay, hits Dalton with a fat Bionade. Beast Halo and Zach are playing on the point here along with Elk. Gets him down. As well, they're retreating around the corner. Gets booped off. There's just, at this point, yeah, Toronto knows it's over. You've lost like 2. Axiom is now going to have to hang out and just wait. You've got 25 seconds left. So basically what they're doing here, to sum it up in the big thesis sentence of this whole essay, keeping Elk, protecting Alarm. Alarm is healing the tanks. The DPS are kind of just doing whatever, and if they can get big picks, they can. But otherwise, you're just really focusing on your tanks and supports in this. Who Are You is going to have the kind of wild card and the fact that he can just wipe a team with a blade if it's done well enough, if he has the right opportunity. But you are really, really focusing on protecting your Ana with your Brigitte, because your Ana outputs enough healing to kind of support any amount of aggression that your tanks are putting out with all of their counter dives. Now you're running a FAR because what do you not have on this team? Any sort of anti-air. You can throw the Sombra in at the hack, which is pretty good. You can have Sombra hack the Pharah, and then as ZP says, she just becomes Soldier. As well, you can throw the D.Va up there to just kind of get in her face, and maybe if she's low enough, finish the job. But Alarm takes some big damage there. Is fine. I assume he can get... The other good thing, too, about playing with the Brigitte around the Ana is your Brigitte's E can give a good amount of sustain to the Ana, so the Ana doesn't have to rely on bionading herself. Beast Halo is going to Primal. Dak is going to have his hack up, but meanwhile you have a... Nano Boost. I don't know who on to. I missed the vocal cue. You've got a hack coming out. You've got a D.Va bomb. You've got 3 people killed. Maybe it went on. Who are you? I don't know. But they just played that well. They just left the FAR. You don't care about the FAR at the moment because the FAR is just so long gone. You have a full hold. So, you know, you want to talk about an about face. That was probably one of the best about faces we've seen. Yeah, exactly. Thank you for the comment, Muffin. That's their name, by the way. That's not what I'm calling them to be weird. So, pointed out that it feels like the burst healing of Ana Brig can really enable some serious aggression as well. That is kind of my point here, is that you have Elk supporting Alarm, who is supporting the tanks. The tanks are primarily counter diving, so you're baiting in the dive onto Alarm, and then meanwhile you're having the tanks play close enough to where at a moment's notice they can dive back in on the flankers, punish a flanker with the Brigitte, D.Va, and Winston, and Ana Bionade as well. So they're kind of playing the Ana as well, but maybe you're kind of having the Lucio as well, because you're going to need to be more mobile here. I think that they stick with this. And the Bernard on the Tracer, too, is something we've seen quite a bit from him. He's pretty good at the Tracer. He's he's an incredibly flexible player. The dude lives at the top of the NA competitive ladder. I think that this is literally going to be a wait for Dragonblade win fight game here. Because you have a pretty tanky comp. You've got the kind of Sombra Goat. What's that? The Hacker Goats comp, I think is what they call it. Or Cyber Goat. I think it's a little bit better. And so what does that mean? It means you have a bunch of people playing close together. And it means if you have no stun on the Brigitte anymore, if you can bait that out, and you have a Nano Blade, you have a dead team. As well, in the meantime, you've got already damage coming in onto Krakenlaken. He's going to push. Zachary's just going to walk away. Who are used at 40% already? Alarm is going to get dove on because they're going to push out. I don't think at any point, if you are Toronto Esports, do you care about winning this fight? I think you were literally just building for EMP, just building for Nano Blade, which, guess what happened? Who are you has Blade? I don't even know if they're going to wait for... And I guess as well, something to note, if you have the EMP come out and then the Blade directly into it, you don't have any sort of way to block the Genji. So they can either play around the Nano Blade or the EMP Blade, which is both a pretty solid combination. There comes that. Blade comes out. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, Nano Blade. It's strong. So, what did you see different from our second map to our third map? Is you saw supporting your supports more with your other support. You saw Elk playing to protect, alarm, and enable him to put out good healing. You saw playing around Blades because Blades with an EMP are pretty much unstoppable. Same with Nano Boost. So, I don't know how long I've been streaming for, about 51 minutes, so... Thank you for tuning in. This was a bit of a shorter one, but I have lots of stuff to do today. So, be sure if you're watching to check out High Noon podcast tonight, I think, as well as Blackwatch Report on Wednesday. We are chatting with 2 members of last night's Leftovers, Kate Mitchell, the manager, and Dogman, as well as our regular episode before that. So just make sure to hang around, watch all that. Thank you for tuning in, whoever did tune in. Thank you very much, and enjoy the rest of your day, and I hope you learned something.